I want to make sure we learn more about that. I mean, I'm not saying that's wrong, but these things are often a little more complicated like that. And the CEO doesn't, quote unquote, decide completely on their own without some kind of board consultation. But, let's give him credit for that. I think, first of all, it's the right thing to do. People have been saying now, ever since the financial crisis, there's no accountability of these big banks. And no upper-level person ever pays a price. Here we actually have someone. But I will say, Wells Fargo has a lot of work to do. He wasn't the only one responsible. He may have been at the top. There is a management chain that leads down to these retail workers, and we've never heard who is in there. Some of those people need to be held accountable. And then, if you've read these stories about the individual retail workers who tried to blow the whistle, who wrote letters to Stumpf, their supervisors ended up firing them, blackballing them, and then those people got promotions. And I'm telling you, you've got to go in there and deal with some of these people too, because that really is the cultural problem.
The Fed had called it a crisis of leadership, and I'm thinking when your main regulator loses faith in a company, I mean, no executive stands a chance. Bob Diamond lost the faith of the Bank of England. He was out. I mean, any executive in a regulated industry, you have to maintain that faith.
Absolutely, and I'm still puzzled that Wells Fargo was so slow to see this and to see this coming. And when I was even talking to them, I kind of thought they seemed to be on another planet, very isolated, and a kind of an echo chamber of just talking to themselves. And that's always a problem. And by the way, the CEO is the one who's supposed to be able to have the vision and the perspective to break out of that. So I think it's for better. He definitely had to go.
Taxes. Of course, you were one of the first to write about the fact that Mr. Trump very well may not have paid taxes. That was months ago.
Right.
Then, of course, the paper you work for got a hold of a couple of pages of his '95 tax return, which showed that enormous loss, and then speculated perhaps he hasn't paid for as long as 18 years, which he seemed to somewhat confirm to a certain extent in the last debate. Now, Jim, you want to fix it all and tell us how exactly we can change the tax code.
And Trump himself put this in play. He said, I can fix this. It's not fair. I took advantage of it. It's all legal, and I will fix the tax code. So I kind of thought, okay, well, how? How do we fix the tax code? So I asked both the Clinton campaign and the Trump campaign. And then, meanwhile, I did my own investigation. It's not hard. You limit the use of those loss carryovers for individuals, not businesses, which I think need to do them. But, the rest of us, we don't get to smooth out our income. Do something about the passive losses, which is an outrageous break for real estate developers. Lengthen the depreciation schedules, and you've basically solved the problem. It's really easy to fix, and Trump would have to pay the tax. So what did they say? The Clinton campaign got back to me. They would do a few of those things, and they want to study the others. I think they were as shocked as the rest of us that you could actually have a loss that big and then have no income, because Clinton's idea of taxing the upper bracket, guess what? Trump is not in the upper bracket. Based on his adjusted gross income, he's at the poverty level. So those things have no effect at all. I think they were surprised. They said, we need to study that. They did say raising the estate tax would help, because then you catch these people, at least finally, no matter what they've done in their lifetime. The Trump campaign, which seemed kind of eager to engage with me on this when I first contacted them last week, went radio silent after the tape. And as far as I can tell, that campaign is in chaos. Anyway, they didn't respond.
So you were unable to sort of get a response from them, given
as I pointed out, Trump has not said a word. He has not proposed repealing or reforming anything that he takes advantage of.
Don't you think we're so far removed from issues at this point? I mean, we could go back in 25 days and go back to some of these things, but the campaign's no longer about it, for better or worse.
Well, look. Call me old-fashioned, I'm an issue. I'm more of an issue person, but no, you're right. I mean, the personalities, the sex harassment, it's now a cultural gulf out there. The cultural wars are in full swing. But, what is the media supposed to do? I'm a business journalist. These are very important issues to me. I think tax and tax policy is one of the handful of the most important issues in a presidential race. I'm going to keep the spotlight on it, and I think before the election I want to visit the congressional Republican plan for the tax reform, because they've basically parted ways with Trump, and they have their own approach to this, which is very distinctive and I think quite interesting.
All right, and of course, you do know, though, however simple it may be to put down on paper all the things that could be changed, getting something through Congress, Jim, regardless of who is the president, would seem to be extremely difficult. There is hope that next year with a new president and a new Congress it will happen. Do you think so?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, why are these loopholes there? The real estate industry is incredibly powerful. They have very effective lobbyists, and I can assure you, because I've run into some other big real estate developers recently who are like furious at Trump, saying, oh my God, he's put a spotlight on this, the whole tent is going to come down, and they're already gearing up for major battles to protect the favored status that they've enjoyed for decades. So there will be a big, big battle over it, and they have many powerful forces.
But you're not arguing
disposal.
Depreciation is a ruse, right? I mean, properties depreciate.
Well, yes and no. I mean, depreciation in the real estate area is a special thing, and I kind of agree that this needs more scrutiny. I mean, how many people sell real estate at a loss? You know, they depreciate it over the 39 years, and then when they actually sell it, it turns out, well, that didn't depreciate at all. There is sort of a disconnect here between the notion of depreciation and the reality of real estate in this country, and I think that needs some more examination. A lot of economists have said, look, it does depreciate, but it's much slower than this schedule now acknowledges, and we need to lengthen that to bring it into line.
How much is carried interest low-hanging fruit for both campaigns?
Carried interest is low-hanging fruit, but look, we haven't even reformed that under the Obama administration, which shows how persistent these things are. But, you know, the thing about carried interest, which both Trump and Clinton have said they would end, Trump doesn't really benefit from that. That's irrelevant to him. He didn't. Carried interest is treated as a capital gain on those returns that Times got. He had zero capital gains.
But even the people who do benefit from it now would benefit more anyway under what we know of his tax proposals.
Because he's going to lower the pass-through and the business tax to 15%, which is lower than the capital gains rate. So that is utter nonsense, that is some kind of a reform that would affect Trump.
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the I right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.